What's up, everyone? I am Tyler Clemmons, host of the Clemmontime podcast, and thank you for tuning in to episode 16 and how I seemingly shoot myself right in the foot, but a lot of good picks going into that week 9 that most people wouldn't have necessarily suspected, especially some of these double-digit spreads that we had in this, and not going to get too much into it, even though I said I did. I'm recording this episode a little bit late, so I'm probably going to be a little bit shorter on a review than I typically am. And our first game that we're going to look at is, of course, my Miami Dolphins. They were plus 7.5 dogs going into the game. And me just being your very superstitious Dolphins fan, hoping for the best. All things good from the week before. Nah, not going to have that. Just not going to have that. Not something we do. Inconsistent. Every single year for the last 20, 30 years. That's been the Miami Dolphins. And of course, in a game where you can't afford to make mistakes, multiple mistakes are made all throughout the game at the most crucial times. Fumbles. Players getting their first catch, first reps of the season, get in the game, make a great play, and what happens? Fumble the ball. Lamar Jackson's first game back, and what does he do? He just cooks the Miami Dolphins like he always does. Cooks them. Bacon, eggs, grits, anything you can imagine Lamar Jackson was doing in this game. Wasn't running the ball that well, but throwing the ball, Lamar did it all. And the Dolphins are going to have one less pass rusher now. The trade deadline was this past Tuesday, November 4th at 4 p.m. Jalen Phillips, no longer Miami Dolphin. He's a Philadelphia Eagle. And a lot of bigger trades as well happened. And when I do the picks for the next game, those trades will be talked about a little bit more. I'm just going to try to give you some brief recap of each game and how my pick went. And of course, Ravens just absolutely made the Dolphins look silly to the point to where Chris Greer parted ways, stepped away, whatever you want to call it. More than likely, it's in 25 years, 20 years I've been with this organization, I'm the only thing that hasn't changed. It's about time. It's about time. And I'm not even going to get into what Stephen A. Smith wanted to say about it. You can just go ahead and Google that yourself if you'd like, because I think that's absolute bullcrap, because he's the only one that hadn't been fired in 20 years there. So you can just throw that opinion right on out the window, Stephen A. All right, let's go ahead and look at Lamar's stats real quick here. Lamar, absolutely perfect, pretty much. 18 to 23, 204 yards, 4 touchdowns. Had the 143.2 passer rating, and we already know it's like 153.6 or 156.7, something like that, 156.8, whatever it is. He was pretty much perfect on the night, and Derrick Henry was stopped for most of the game, per usual. And we just tend to, as the game goes on, let's just let this guy start ripping off runs. Yeah, let them burn the clock. Let them do all these things that you don't need them to do against you. Hence to why Dolphins have a 2-7 record. If you watch the Baltimore Ravens and Dolphins game, there was a graphic that got put on the TV for the percentage of who had the possibility to still win the division. The division that the Ravens are in. Steelers, Ravens, Bengals, Browns. And the Ravens have the highest winning percentage, even though they've pretty much at the bottom of the division. That's the expectations that Lamar Jackson has from everyone. The fact that he's going to be back. They expect Lamar Jackson to make this team a playoff contender. Just like that. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And maybe he can do that. Maybe he can't. I'm still moving the mic. As you can tell, I've changed the camera. I've dropped my chair. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do this for me. So, as things change, you will notice, and I'm going to try to figure them out myself as well. Anyways, I take the L on the spread for that one. I deserve it. You know, I just know as soon as I pick against the Dolphins, they're going to play their best game on the season, and everything I said is not going to mean a darn thing. So as I'm recording this right now, the Raiders and Broncos are playing, and right now the Raiders have a little bit of motivation in this game, and they are kind of giving the Broncos a hard time. Broncos offense has been real stagnant the last couple weeks, and we're seeing it again right now. All right, first 1 o'clock game on the Week 9 slate, Chicago Bears at Cincinnati, and if you would have picked a absolute shootout on this, you're a genius. You know football. You knew this was going to happen. You sensed it. The football gods contacted you and told you it's going to be a high-scoring game to the tune of 47-42. Who would have expected that? Not only that, with 2 minutes left in the game, was it 40, 41, 27, 41, 28? Something like that. The Bengals are down like 13 points, 14 points, and just orchestrated a drive. The Bears got the Bengals to call all their timeouts and still driving down the field, couldn't score, got the ball back, scored, recovered an onside kick, but then just completely forget to tackle somebody. I mean, if you just tackle the tight end for the Bears, it's over. You win the game. You come back, and Joe Flacco looks great. You get your morale back. You did what happened to you the week prior, and that doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Simple fundamentals of the game not executed at a high level will cost you the game, and that is exactly what happened to the Bengals. They could be almost a 500 team right now with Joe Flacco. And a thing I've noticed about the Bengals offense with Joe Flacco in there, I don't know if they do this a whole lot with Joe Burrow. It doesn't seem like it. Seems like he's getting a lot of pocket pressure. They were in a lot of shotgun, a lot of pistol, and they moved the pocket quite a bit for Joe Flacco. But Joe Flacco is also understanding where he needs to go with the ball, maybe a little bit quicker than Joe Burrow is. And maybe Joe Burrow just trusts his offensive line and the players around him a little bit more than what film is showing, as in they haven't proven to you that they're going to be able to hold and block for you for 3 and 4 seconds for you to sit there and go through your progressions before you decide to run. And Joe Flacco maybe gives them the best chance right now besides Jake Browning to get the ball out as soon as possible. As you watch the highlights in these games and you look at Cincinnati's offense, they are blocking a little bit better than when Joe Burrow was in there, in my opinion. Why? Not a clue. Maybe just the confidence that Joe Burrow is going to get the ball out and they don't feel all this pressure. I mean, there's something to it. And it's just so crazy the Bengals had a chance to win that game. So close. And the Bears execute. You never give up on a play. You just don't fall down. You know, once you get hit, and Loveland takes it to the house. Bengals didn't wrap up. Did not wrap up. You wrap him up, you win the game, I would imagine. And of course, Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, putting plays together. I mean, some of the plays that the Bears ran in this game were absolutely absurd. They had double reverse throwback passes. I believe they had the Philly special as a touchdown to Caleb Williams. I mean, instantly when I saw it, I knew Caleb Williams was getting the ball just by how he handed it off and his motion and reaction to the play. Just some key giveaways there, and that's hard to see as a player while you're on the field, but when you have the eye in the sky, it's a little bit easier to diagnose. And hey, Ben Johnson and the Bears drew up some really good plays, and they get the win against the Cincinnati Bengals, 47-42. We got the Detroit Lions taking on the Minnesota Vikings. And I was very unsure, of course, about J.J. McCarthy. Who is sure about him anyways? 100% sure on him? Maybe besides the Vikings having a lot of faith in this young quarterback and what he brings to the team. He's a great leader. I mean, no doubt about it. He doesn't hesitate when he speaks. Doesn't think too much about it. He reacts. And the team sees that. I think he's going to continue to be a really good leader. That's something he's always been. I, on the other hand, thought that the Detroit Lions minus 8.5 were going to get after the Vikings, essentially. J.J. McCarthy coming back from the ankle injury, not sure how his mobility is. And, hey, he didn't even do much in this game, but he did enough to win the game. He made the throws he needed to. He did have an interception, and he got sacked 5 times. Some of the inexperience is showing there looking at these stats. Super efficient with the passing game. O'Connell really kind of had things right down the middle with the play call. 29 run attempts, 25 pass attempts. But you just think that would have been a 50-50 split if he doesn't take 5 sacks at the same time. 2 touchdowns, though. 2 touchdowns and a big throw to seal the game for J.J. McCarthy. And that is big-time play. Big-time play for the Vikings. Something that in their system, you just need a quarterback who's consistent. And if he can consistently protect the ball and make the throws when he needs to in timely situations, I believe J.J. McCarthy is going to continue to be the guy back there for the Vikings. I don't think they're going to look elsewhere. I think he's going to be your cheapest route, and he might be your best route. The Lions, on the other hand, they're just completely getting away from their identity. They want to be thunder and lightning in the backfield, and they're getting away from the running game. They had 65 yards rushing on 20 carries. You throw the ball 37 times with Jared Goff, and hey, he has a great game, doesn't turn the ball over, but he got sacked 5 times once again. He probably has a 300-plus yard passing game, but you try to get the ball into certain guys' hands more often than not, and I don't know if it's the shot plays because you want to get Jamison Williams involved and why this offense is starting to not sputter out, but the consistency is just not, doesn't feel like it's been there for the Lions. They execute at a very high level, and they want to split the carries with their tailbacks. I mean, 11 carries for Montgomery, 9 for Gibbs, and nobody was really hitting them hard. Montgomery had 11-yard long for a rush, and Jahmyr Gibbs had 7. So the running game's not there, and they're getting away from it very early. I think when they get behind, they don't essentially panic, but now they start looking for these big plays that maybe get back into the game a little bit quicker rather than later in the game, and now you're needing big defensive stops. So something to really think about with the Detroit Lions looking forward, but I take the L on that one because they were minus 8.5 favorites, and I took them. It was 27-24 to the Vikings. Vikings now 4-4 on the season. Detroit Lions 5-3. That's something I'm going to try to do to give you their records too. Just trying to add a little bit of detail to each episode and everything I talk about, and just continuing to grow as much as I can with this. All right, next one up, we got the Carolina Panthers at the Green Bay Packers. All right, so I don't want to say that I called the Panthers playing a hell of a game and that Jordan Love is an up-and-down quarterback, as in has a great game and then just has like a kind of game. That's essentially what happened. One of the 3 double-digit spreads that we had in this was Carolina at Green Bay, and this was a 12.5 dog for the Panthers. And when the Green Bay Packers play that well, no way they're going to play that well back-to-back weeks. It's just not been their thing at all. Maybe won in back-to-back weeks, but they have not been consistent with how good they look when they are executing back-to-back weeks. That's the thing about them. If they can continue to look good and be consistent, I think you would look at them as Super Bowl contenders. I mean, essentially they could be 5-3. They should be 5-3. They really should be. They have a tie, 5-2-1. The Panthers are 5-4 now with this win. They win 16-13. You get Bryce Young back in the game. It actually changes the way you called it. You go heavy with the run game, and of course, Rico Dowdle takes the starting role from Chuba Hubbard. And Chuba Hubbard got paid in the offseason. Rico Dowdle leaves Dallas. Dallas didn't want to pay him. They ended up bringing in Javonte Williams, and Rico Dowdle, in his couple games as a starter without Chuba Hubbard, he absolutely plays lights out and has proven that he is the factor in the run game. Sometimes schemes and players don't work out. And I don't know if the scheme with the linemen now, since they're all healthy, is a little bit better suited for the style that Rico Dowdle runs. And the coach is calling the plays, which suits their linemen, so the running backs need to adapt. I'm not seeing Chuba Hubbard doing that. Rico Dowdle he looks like a completely different guy than what he looked like in Dallas. It's so weird. Change colors, uniforms, change numbers. You look like a different player out there. Crazy to see that. But I feel like that happens quite a bit, especially when guys go from college to the NFL and you look at how they look in a college uniform equipment and then they go to an NFL one. They just look different. They don't look the same. Like sometimes it looks like they shrunk and sometimes it looks like they got bigger. But in most cases, they just look like they've gotten a little bit smaller. Not the case though. You know, they're still the same size or they're bigger. Just kind of blows my mind how different people start to look going from college to NFL. But 16-13, Bryce Young plays a don't turn it over kind of game. He does throw one interception, but 11 of 20, 102 yards, no touchdowns, one interception. Took a sack, but got back to the line of scrimmage, so he didn't lose any yards. But Rico Dowdle, 25 for 130, 2 touchdowns, averages 5.2 yards a carry. That is incredible. Who would have thought that Rico Dowdle would have went to Carolina? He bet on himself, essentially. He bet on himself to have the opportunity to be a starter again, and he took advantage of it. Congratulations, Rico Dowdle, and thank you, Carolina, for holding up your end of the bargain. That is much appreciated to allow me to to finally get back in the win column here with these picks against the spread. So Green Bay's got to figure it out now. They're going to be down Tucker Kraft. He tore his ACL in this game. So essentially their best receiver, in my opinion, he is out. And Josh Jacobs does get back on the right track here. It's 17 carries for 87 yards, 5.1 yards a carry. Nice to see Christian Watson get back in there. Only had the real long deep ball was his big effective play, which was 52 yards, and he finished with 2 catches for 58 himself. And Romeo Doubs, I believe he can be a number one guy. He's just not been consistent in that aspect, and as soon as he's not involved in the game plan, he gets a little bit deterred by things. So continue to monitor the Green Bay Packers receiving core situation as Doubs and Watson essentially are the number one guys there. You got to get Golden involved. He's your speed guy. And Watson, I think, can start to play that role of Tucker Kraft, but stretch the field just a little bit better. Packers 5-2-1. Carolina Panthers 5-4. Going on to the Los Angeles Chargers at the Tennessee Titans. So one of these big spread games here is Los Angeles Chargers at Tennessee. Tennessee has proven me right most of the time that they are a bad team and that they are reliable when losing by 10 or more points. But not this week. Second week with their interim head coach, they play quite a bit better, and they do score late to cover the spread, unfortunately. If you were picking the Titans, I was not, though, because I picked them in previous games thinking Cam Ward's going to keep them in it, and they're just not a good team to be able to do that. Justin Herbert has another solid game, 19-29, 250, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, but geez Louise, man. 6 sacks for 38 yards. So if you play fantasy football, I play in a sleeper app. We have sacks that count against the quarterback, which I am absolutely against now that I see that when you got a guy that could be putting up, 20 points in a game and he's got minus 12, so he gets you 8 points as a quarterback. Then you see in your other league where sacks don't count against the quarterback and he's got the 28 points. Then it makes you just want to call your GM of the fantasy league and ask him, why did you think this was a good idea? Even though we didn't disagree with it when you put it out there and 3 people thumbed it up, So, hey, that's on us. We failed. We failed as employees of the fantasy football league. Titans, though, didn't throw the ball that much. 12-21, 145 yards. Didn't turn the ball over for Cam Ward. He was sacked 4 times, though. He has just been beat up, and he needs to get something up front in the near future to not allow him to be the next David Carr. If you know who David Carr is, he's Derek Carr's brother. He played for the Houston Texans when the Houston Texans first started, and he didn't have an offensive line, and he was a great talent apparently, and you could never see it because he was just getting smacked all the time in the backfield. Sack after sack after sack, and it just completely ruined him essentially as a NFL quarterback. Essentially, Titans didn't really run a lot of plays at all. Chargers really managed the clock just looking at stats, have not even looked at the time of possession, but just looking at the stats and the play calls, of course, there's a 10-minute difference, 34-20 to 25-40. So just looking at the stats, I could just tell that Justin Herbert having 29 attempts passing and 30 rushing attempts for the team compared to 21 pass attempts for the team to the 19. That is just a huge difference, you know. And there's 4 sacks involved, so really 25 pass plays. And that's not a lot. That's 20 more plays than the other team. You know, in the Titans' case, it's 20 less plays than the other team. Yeah, that's tough in the NFL. And in these NFL games, if you can have long sustaining drives and you're putting up touchdowns, it is so debilitating for the other team, especially on defense when you know that your offense may go 3 and out. I'm going to have to go right back out there on the field and rely on rely on our tired defense who's been playing for legitimately probably 45 minutes to an hour, and your offense has been out there 10 minutes. Like, that's like in real time, though, not game time, real time. That is tough. That is physically and mentally draining as a player, and it can be debilitating. And when you have big backs that can run the ball, it makes it even tougher. Neither team had that in this game, but the Chargers still have a very effective running game. Herbert had 9 for 57, Patterson 9 for 44, and Vidal 12 for 30. So very split running game in the backfield for the Chargers, and it's been a running back by committee for the Chargers. They've been very injury plagued, and still finding a way to win. That's the best thing about it. Titans do score late in this. They cover the spread. Chargers win 27-20. Do not cover the spread in this because they were minus 10.5. Moving on to the Atlanta Falcons at New England. Another one where Patriots are pretty much dominating this game. You know, can't watch all these at one time unless I decide to get, 10 to 15 TVs. Now I can make some things happen here, but just Patriots about blow this thing. About blow it. So they're up, what does this look like? 24-14 going into the fourth quarter. They don't score any points in the fourth quarter. And the Falcons cut this lead to 1 and essentially had a chance to win the game. Michael Penix is back. And, hey, Michael Penix did everything right. Throw all of his touchdown passes to Drake London. He is about the only target besides Kyle Pitts that can seem to catch the ball. And Bijan Robinson. Those are your money makers. Drake London, 14 targets, 9 catches. Bijan Robinson, 10 targets, 8 catches. Kyle Pitts, 7 targets, 4 catches. That's it. Those are your 3 guys, the only guys that touched the ball. Darnell Mooney had the 1 catch for 15 yards. And I believe David Sills, yes, he did have the 1 target, and I believe it should have been for a late target in the game to possibly move the chains. Didn't happen, though. The Falcons are in a weird spot where their main identity is Bijan Robinson, and they almost want it to be Michael Penix. Most people would expect it to be Michael Penix, and he's just got some more growing pains he's going to have to go through until he becomes that guy. 22 of 37, 221 yards. Hey, he had 1 sack. That is not bad at all for Michael Penix. He's not holding the ball. Unfortunately, if Michael Penix doesn't have a run game, he's going to struggle. And they had a okay running game, but essentially they had to abandon it. They had to. 16 team carries for 71 yards. Bijan had 12 for 46. In my opinion, Bijan needs to have at least 15 to 20 carries on the ground, and you can target him 5 to 10 times. Those are essential Christian McCaffrey numbers, and we'll get into those here shortly because apparently the Giants didn't show up either, so they didn't want to cover the spread for me as well. In this case, though, Drake May has probably his poorest performance, but they still win the game. And when I say his poorest performance or a poor performance, gosh, people are going to school me on my vocabulary, but guess what? I don't care. I don't care at all. Drake May, 19 of 29, 259, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. The problem that I had with him in this is because he's good with his legs, and he had 8 carries for 20 yards. He had 6 sacks. And those are sacks to where you're being that kind of quarterback, that kind of stature, more than likely to kind of hold on to the ball a little bit longer, try to find somewhere to throw the ball on the run, on the move, in the pocket. That's just going to be your tendency, you know. And that's a luxury that you can have when you're a big quarterback that can run. Travion Henderson has to step into the game because Stevenson's out, and Henderson does pretty well. 14 carries, 55 yards. He's also a weapon in the backfield. He had 4 catches for 32 yards. So, hey, the Patriots are on a roll. They are leading the division right now. The Bills are right there behind them. 7-2 Patriots. Falcons 3-5. 24-23 was the final in that game. All right. Of course, I don't cover that one. What's new? Going on to San Francisco at New York. New York Giants were a +2.5. I took them thinking in New York, Jackson Dart, this offense, they're going to have some motivation to come out and play a good game, start fast, finish fast. Well, that wasn't exactly the case. Mack Jones has been starting for the San Francisco 49ers, and I essentially think that he should just stay in for the rest of the year and let Brock Purdy figure out this turf toe. And the main reason why is because the chemistry with your quarterbacks in this offense are essential. When Mack Jones started running this offense this year, Kendrick Bourne was the guy for 2 consecutive weeks, and now he's just kind of fell off. Jawan Jennings, who was originally in the offense, is now the guy that Mack Jones likes to go to. So different things to look at. The 49ers offense essentially works with whoever Kyle Shanahan wants to put back there. That's the key to this offense. The running game's going, the play action pass is there. And these play action passes are, hey, they're quick. They are play action pass, get your head around, and you're throwing a 20-yard in-breaking route. There were some really good throws by Mack Jones. He has a very quick release. And I wouldn't say he has a super strong arm, but his balls do get there pretty quick. Yeah, I'll keep that one in there. That was a softball pitch for you. Mack Jones is doing a hell of a job. Jackson Dart, he's playing his ass off as well. Fortunately, the Giants don't really have any weapons on offense, and a lot of drop passes are not helping them. They're that team that has to execute all their plays and take advantage of turnovers, and they need to hopefully force turnovers. Not just rely on stripped footballs, batted balls in the air, actually setting guys up like disguise, just getting after them. They have a really good pass rush up front. I would think that the Giants should be able to affect more games with that, but that's something that Shanahan, I know for a fact Shanahan recognized the pass rush from the Giants, and the game plan was to get the ball out quick. That was essentially Mack Jones' game plan, and he had a hell of a game once again. And I don't know how you put Brock Purdy in there when Mack Jones is 19-24, 235, and 2 touchdowns, almost 10-yard average per pass. He got sacked 2 times. McCaffrey, 28 carries, 106 yards. To me, cut some of those carries down for McCaffrey, at least 5 to 7 more carries off of his load, and you're going to give Bijan 10 to 12 carries a game, essentially. That's a lot of touches for McCaffrey. He touched the ball 33 times. He had 5 catches for 67 yards and a touchdown on 6 targets. So they are really, really getting the ball into McCaffrey's hands. But, hey, last year was tough to see him. With the tendonitis in his Achilles and things like that, that scares you, especially of a guy of his caliber. But 49ers, hey, they are one of the top teams there in the NFC. We are going to keep our eye on them because they might be there again, but you're going to see how the quarterback position plays out. Giants fall to 2-7 on the season. San Francisco 49ers are 6-3. Final is 34-24. Did not cover the spread. I picked the Giants. Indianapolis Colts at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's had a last couple games played pretty tough and just not any of the outcomes that they were hoping for. And you can see it. Aaron Rodgers, at his age, he expresses how he feels very often. And it may make some people mad. It may not. It may seem like he's bitching a lot. But hey, He wants to win. He expects big things from his guys. And, sometimes when you have a lot of belief in players and they don't live up to those expectations or execute the plays to your standard at times, you hold them a little bit more accountable than usual. And I just think that's what Aaron Rodgers does. Aaron Rodgers makes these guys better, essentially, being back there. And Colts have the worst game of the season for him. So the score is 27-20, but essentially it was 27-14 or 27-13. And, it was 14. They went for 2. It was 27-14. Pittsburgh, hey, their defense finally showed up. My wife is wanting to beat me up every now and again because I've been picking defenses for the fantasy based on matchups, who's in there at quarterback, and Steelers are playing Joe Flacco on 10-day notice, right? Hey, start the Steelers. Joe Flacco is going to maybe force some turnovers, right? Pfft, yeah, right. Joe Flacco is going to light them up and put negative points up. Come on. What's the chances of that happening? Well, pretty high nowadays. Pretty high nowadays. In this case, Steelers defense was getting after Daniel Jones. He threw some interceptions that one looked bad because he did not see the guy, and he just ran right into the path that he was throwing. Just knew where Daniel Jones was going and literally just stepped right over into it. And Daniel Jones just threw it with no hesitation. So that one was a little bad, but a good strip sack by TJ Watt. And that's what you expect. You expect TJ Watt to be back there getting after the quarterback, putting pressure on him, and that's going to help your secondary. That is what makes your secondary better and allows them to be more aggressive. Jalen Ramsey moves to safety. It looks like he's going to stay there. He's getting to that point in his career to where, he's not old, but he's got a lot of mileage. And when you're following guys around the field a lot, man, that's being rode hard, wet, and put away sometimes. That's just how the cookie crumbles, and sometimes you start to lose your game at an earlier, or you start to lose some of your physical capabilities sooner than you would expect, but not as a big drop-off. So you just have to make some adjustments, and some people just fall off big time. They go 12, 13 years, no problem, and just a big drop-off after that. That happens too. But not many players are that great for 14, 15 years of their career either. So there's very few and far between. Few and far between. God dang. It has been a long day. It's actually 9:42 right now. Anyways, Colts lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers get back on the winning track. They're 5-3. Colts fall to 7-2. I think Aaron Rodgers is the difference maker for the Steelers so far. 25-35, 203 yards and a touchdown. The running game is absolutely not there, though. They have got to figure that out. 38 yards on 22 carries. Absolutely wild. Moving on to Denver at Houston. So I'm actually watching Denver right now. So I have my Thursday night football on here, and I'm going to give you the pick still. So when it finishes, because I picked Denver. A lot of people probably picked Denver. So what's new? But I just thought I would let you know what it is now. So when I start the next one, we already know what the pick is and maybe what the outcome is. And since high school footballs are over for me, high school football games are over for me, I'll try to do these a little bit more regular. This week I didn't start off on a good foot though. Wasn't sure the season was over till just a couple days ago. But Denver at Houston. Hey, CJ Stroud, man, prayers up for you. Takes a huge hit in the chest, not in the head, but his head does bounce off the ground. Hey, those are the worst. When you're sliding as a quarterback, I think you need to start maybe sliding and turning to the side, trying to shield yourself to some extent. I played quarterback in high school, a little bit in college. I was not a slider. Didn't play baseball. Had no idea how to slide. Well, one time in high school, my head coach was trying to put in some quarterback running plays. And as you would imagine, you wouldn't expect me to run. Gunslinger mentality, but not runner's mentality. Let's just tell you that. And he told me, if you don't slide, you'll never run the ball again. How about that? You won't have to worry about that. And I said, oh, man. I'll figure out how to slide, coach. So next play, calls it. He says, don't forget to slide. I slid. Never did it in my life. First time I ever did it in practice. Felt so weird. And when you've never done something and nobody can just run and show you right there on the spot, it's a little different. You got to go to a whole nother place, because I never played baseball. You know, most people who play quarterback, they typically play baseball or something in baseball, and not me. I was not a baseball player, just football, basketball, ran some track. That was the forte here. And track was required. And then I fell in love with running track too, so makes you a better athlete. But Denver's offense has been very slow lately, and watching this Thursday night game, what I was saying is it looks slow. It doesn't look good. They're 7-2, but it does not look good. Trying to figure out what is going on. Bo Nix just threw a terrible interception in this game. But Bo Nix, 18 of 37. You're under 50%, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. J.K. Dobbins doing fairly well on the ground, 15 carries, 61 yards. But the offensive passing game is just so stagnant. Not good at all. Cortland Sutton, 1 catch, 30 yards, touchdown. You got to do more than that. Why is Tony Franklin getting 10 targets compared to Cortland Sutton? He's your big target. He's the guy that's going to be getting those 50-50 balls, or should be. He's the one that if you get 10 of those targets, maybe 3 or 4 jump balls instead of 6 targets. Like, come on. Tony Franklin got almost double. I think you've got to design some more plays for him. CJ Stroud in this game, 6 of 10, 79 yards, no touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He was sacked 2 times. Davis Mills comes in about 13 minutes left in the second quarter. He goes 17 of 30, 137 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So Davis Mills did have the 1 season as a starter before CJ Stroud was drafted. And he's not bad. You know, he's not great. He's a backup for a reason. And he might be playing this Sunday. We don't know. Most guys who get concussions like the one CJ Stroud did, that was that bad, more than likely not going to clear the protocol in time. And Nick Chubb, unfortunately, man, I think his injuries are starting to catch up to him. I think he's losing just a little bit, unfortunately. As much as I like Nick Chubb, I got to be honest sometimes. Woody Marks is the up-and-coming back, I believe. Just going to see Nick Chubb probably still take bulk of the carry still. But it's only a matter of time before Woody Marks, I think, is going to take the starting role. And look, having Nico Collins back, he's a big-time receiver. 7 catches, 75 yards. You didn't see stats like this last week. You saw it evenly distributed, right? I talked about this. Here we go. Dalton Schultz, 6 catches, 77 yards. Nico Collins, 7 catches, 75 yards. Here's the drops. Drop off. 3 for 30, Xavier Hutchinson. Christian Kirk, 4 for 26. After that, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. And all those with 1 catch was no longer than 4 yards. So that's the problem with the Texans offense. They do a great job when they're missing their key pieces and getting the other players involved. They've got to do better when the whole team is one. In my opinion, they have got to figure out how they spread the ball around when everyone's there and not just focus back in on one player because he's back in the game. I think if the Texans can do that, their offense will be better, but man, they're a 3-5 team and they look like it. They really do. Broncos continue to find a way to win, in my opinion, at 7-2 with an 18-15 win. Last second field goal. Once again, that all rhymed. What's going on? All right, we're going to go ahead and move on. And I did pick that one. It was only -1.5. So one of the closer games, which is a little surprising, mainly because Houston was the home team. And they were only 1.5 dogs. Looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Las Vegas Raiders. This was a very weird game, very slow game until later in the third and early fourth quarter. Both teams really picked it up here. It was 9-6 going into the fourth quarter. 17 points scored in the fourth quarter by the Jaguars and 14 points scored in the fourth quarter by the Raiders. And it did go into overtime. It was a 30-29 victory for the Jaguars. This game, if it doesn't describe how both these teams are, because the Jaguars feel like they could be good. When they beat Kansas City earlier in the season, you really thought that maybe Trevor Lawrence turned the corner. Maybe he finally figured it out. Maybe the Jaguars are a good team and they'll be good. And now you're starting to see why they've not been that good of a team. I don't normally yawn in my podcast, but geez. It's 2 times now. Trevor Lawrence, 23 of 34, 220 yards, no touchdown passes. Thinking he was getting back on the right track. He just doesn't. He ends up regressing and just being simple old Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence that we've seen. ETN still getting bulk of the carries, 22 for 84. But Parker Washington, who would have expected? Why not Brian Thomas? Brian Thomas has underperformed so much. It is not even funny. He's supposed to be in the Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson category. He was expected to be in the him and Malik Neighbors both. And they have not lived up to that expectation at all. Parker Washington, leading receiver, 8 catches for 90 yards after Travis Hunter goes on IR. And the next leading catcher was Travis Etienne with 5 for 31. Brian Thomas had 3 for 55. Team rushing, 151 yards. So Jaguars rushing the ball, great. I think that's a key for Lawrence and how he can continue to get better as long as his run game's working. But he's going to have to figure out that you can't be that high of a draft pick and not be able to win games for your team when they need it. Like, pull them out of a hole. That's not how you want to win all your games, but when Tom Brady was back there, Peyton Manning was back there, how many times or how comfortable were you if that was your quarterback that this guy may come back and win the game? Because when they played my teams and if we ever had lead, I felt like he was going to take our soul. We're just going to break our hearts right there on national television. And most of the time they did. But Jaguars lucked out in this one. I believe if the Raiders don't go for 2, that we have a tie on our hands. That's my thought on this. But they go for 2 and Jaguars win 30-29. And I picked Jaguars minus 3.5, and they don't cover, of course, because just a silly old 1-point win. But hey, a win's a win in the NFL. And I wish I was doing some straight up picks. I didn't do that. Everything's against the spread for me because some of these, how I picked them, are based on the spread. We're going to move on to New Orleans at the Los Angeles Rams. Matthew Stafford's on fire. He is an MVP candidate. New Orleans, sorry. You just, you're a bad franchise right now, unfortunately. You've got the rookie quarterback in there, Tyler Shuck, and he is going to be trial and error. He is going to have a rough 17 games to start with. Now he's played in 2, I think, or 3 games now. Started the last one, played the one before, and maybe got in another game. So he's got a little bit of playing time, but nothing to even be able to tell you if he's going to be, a good NFL quarterback. And hey, the New Orleans Saints might be looking at a quarterback in the offseason. Who knows? With these few games, they may be able to decide rather quickly on that. We don't know, though. Do not know. But Stafford, he's on another level. He has not slowed down one bit. I am going to start putting the Rams into Super Bowl contenders now. They are 6-2. Saints are 1-8. 34-10 was the final. Shuck was 15-24 for 176 yards. So not bad, but clearly can see the Rams controlled the ball and didn't give the Saints a lot of possession anyways, but they ran the ball for 171 yards. So Kyron Williams, you had a game, brother. You had a game. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Kansas City at Buffalo. What a 4 o'clock game. Every time these teams play, it is must watch. I don't care who you are as a fan. You watch these two teams play, and if your team's not good or your team is up and coming and good, you look at both of these teams and you really start to think to yourself, man, they do this so well. What does our team need to do to be this good? And There is no right or wrong answer in this case, though. But both of these teams have been head-to-head for the last 6, 7 seasons, consistently playing each other for Super Bowl contending spots. And once again, Buffalo and Kansas City go down to the wire. Kansas City almost has a chance to tie this game up, and Buffalo just does everything right. Everything right. I talked about James Cook the last couple weeks and how he's just not being the back that you paid him to be, and now he's starting to be the back that you paid him to be for 2 weeks in a row. And Josh Allen, 23 of 26, 273. What the hell was that, dude? Like Superman out there. You are Patrick Mahomes' kryptonite, and Patrick Mahomes is your kryptonite. Patrick Mahomes was less than 50% in this game, 15 to 34. The Bills got after Mahomes. Got after him. He was sacked 3 times. Not to mention the pressures and incomplete passes that he was rolling out, running for his life. So, Bills are 6-2, right up there with the New England Patriots in their division. And even though the Chiefs are 5-4, they are still going to be considered contenders. Don't worry about the 5-4 record. I believe in them. A lot of other people do too. But Kansas City loses that one 28-21. They were a -1.5. So, of course, I'm taking the L once again. Wow. And this next one, I don't know where to start exactly with the Seattle at Washington game. So many things to say. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. I've only got 2 more picks left. And I think I've done a fairly good job at trying to keep this concise. Sam Darnold, I'm going to say it again. He's the dude. And Jigba, Smith and Jigba, Jackson, Smith and Jigba. He's that dude as well, okay? Seattle's got 2 running backs, multiple receivers. What can you say? They're going to be a problem. The one thing I don't want to see Seattle do, and I'm afraid of this. I'm also afraid that the Colts might do this too. I don't want to jinx that as well, but I would hate for these to be teams that play a really, really good regular season and lose in the first round that they play. You know, where they have a first round bye and play in the second week, or they play the first week as a wild card and don't play well and lose. I would not be surprised. That has happened. But I would hate for them to be those kind of teams, and sometimes I feel like they might be. But Seattle just puts it on Washington. Jaden Daniels should not have been in this game as late as he was. Well, he absolutely dislocated his elbow. It was nasty. It's his left elbow. That's the best part about it. The only thing is what does he do for that left elbow now? Is he going to wear a brace? Is he going to wear a more protective sleeve for that for the rest of his career? Because I think when you dislocate your elbow like that, I have never had a severe injury of that extent. You get arthritis, tendonitis, different things in there that, hey, maybe over time your elbow just bothers you. That was a nasty injury. Hopefully Jaden Daniels will be okay, and it was just a dislocation and maybe some stretched ligaments. But Seattle's got everything rolling. Defense is hot, and the offense is right there with it too. So, quick strike offense for Seattle. Washington's going to have Marcus Mariota in there, and they face my Miami Dolphins here next week. Not this week, next week, the following week in Madrid. Seattle puts it on the Commanders 38-14. All right, last one, and I did cover that, by the way. Last one, we have the Arizona Cardinals at the Dallas Cowboys. I was not expecting this from the Arizona Cardinals. Other people weren't expecting it either. They really anticipated Dallas to just come in and just light up the Arizona Cardinals defense. That did not happen at all. Jacoby Brissett, he is the deciding factor for this offense, and I essentially think the Cardinals see that as well, that Kyler Murray has just completely limited them in what you can call. And if they say that's not true, then I think I'd call bullshit. Arizona's offense has been much more productive. The pass yards have increased, and I'm sure the play calls are very similar. It's just Jacoby Brissett can see where he's going with the ball. I really and truly believe that Jacoby Brissett is just a much better fit because he can see where he's going with the ball and can make the throws. He can make all of them. You know, he's a pretty decent runner. He doesn't run like Kyler, but he's a very good runner. Arizona just punched the Cowboys in the mouth. Unfortunately, it was 27-17. Cowboys had a few chances, and later in the game, I don't think they would have had as much pressure if they would have just took some of these points that they could have had. Instead, they just go for it, turn it over on downs. I believe two times that the Cowboys went for it on fourth down, they got sacked. Didn't even get a chance to make a play. So that's not going to help you, and that's not going to give you any chance to come back in games, win games, or do anything good. Cowboys defense is struggling a little bit, but this trade deadline, wow. We got some good ones for them. We'll talk about that in the next episode. I just want to say that Cardinals shoot me in my foot. Shoot me in my foot. Pew, pew. 27-17, 3-5 Cardinals defeat the 3-5-1 Dallas Cowboys. So Dallas going to be on a bye week this week. Arizona is going to be playing Jacoby Brissett, and they just put Kyler Murray on IR. So we're gonna have a few things to talk about the next episode that I do. That'll be the Week 10 picks against the spread. I went 6-8 this week. Regressed a little bit. Talked about how it was 65-56. So now, of course, I'm going to be 71-64. Man, it doesn't sound as good as 65-56. That's for sure. We'll see if I can step up next week. All right. It has been fun. I really appreciate everyone that's been listening. If you've watched this far, heck yeah. And just by the way, I know most of you haven't, okay? So please tell me you actually heard me say this, and I know you listened to it. But regardless, I'm going to continue to post these because whether you watch or not, I'm going to keep putting these up. They're fun for me. So thank you all for tuning in. And once again, I am picking the Broncos to cover the spread against the Raiders. So when we tune into the next one, you know who I'm picking. I tried to say this at the beginning of the episode. I'm going to say it again. All right, y'all. I am done. Michael Myers is on the field, a.k.a. Ashton Genty. Talk to y'all later. Peace out.